Cucho Hernandez, Kabasele, Samir and Kamal. Well, it's a very warm welcome and thank you for joining me on this independent off-tube studio commentary. It's the kickoff at St Mary's as Southampton take on Watford. The game has just got underway and it's a big game for the visitors. Watford languishing in relegation, currently on 19 points. And the problem for Roy Hodgson's side is that pretty much everybody around them have got games in hand. So it's essential that Watford try and get a win today against the Southampton side, who are sitting pretty comfortably in mid-table. Bit of a drop of form in the last few games for House and Hootel's side with those two defeats in their last two games. But straight away inside the first 30 seconds, the Saints have won themselves a free kick in a dangerous position here. It's about 35 yards out over on the left-hand side, and Captain Ward-Prowse is over this one. He whips it in towards the penalty area. Out comes Forster, punches that one clear, and it's back in the midfield here with Walker-Peters. Walker-Peters now going over towards the halfway line.
Hello.
Switched over towards the right-hand side again for Walker-Peters. Watford on the back foot straight away, and there's a bit of space here for Stuart Armstrong down the right-hand side. He puts a cross in towards the back post, and it's headed up in the air. There's a little bit of a fight for it inside the 6-yard box before the ball is eventually cleared, and I think the referee has spotted a foul there. Elyounoussi just bumping in, and it's going to be a free kick to Watford, but a very bright start here for Southampton. It's myself, Paul Szczerbakowicz and Sam Wright taking you through the action, and Sam, Watford straight away on the back foot.
Yeah, good start by Southampton. You saw James Ward-Prowse standing over a free kick, and that certainly spells danger, and just then that was an opportunity as well for Southampton. In the end, they just about deal with it. Good header by Elyounoussi, but in the end the Watford defender back on the line in the right place to clear. But yeah, great start by Southampton. The back-to-back defeats for them. They're certainly looking to respond.
They certainly are. It was the Brazilian Samir with the clearance, needed to be, as Elyounoussi was just climbing over his man. It may well have been given as a free kick in any case. Referee Graham Scott signalling, but it's now cleared up towards the halfway line, and straight away Oriol Romeu under a bit of pressure there from Manuel Dennis going back towards his own penalty. Just to remind you of the two 11s very quickly. Fraser Forster is in goal for Southampton. A back four of Kyle Walker-Peters, Jan Bednarek, Mohamed Salisu and Romain Perrault. Four in midfield, Will Smallbone, James Ward-Prowse, Oriol Romeu and Mohamed Elyounoussi, with Stuart Armstrong and Shay Adams as the two up front for Watford. Ben Foster is in goal. A back four of Cucho Hernandez, Christian Kabasele, Samir and Hassane Kamara. Three in midfield, Musa Sissoko, Imran Loza and Juraj Kucka, with Cucho Hernandez, João Pedro and Emmanuel Dennis as the three up front for Watford. It's a busy afternoon in the Premier League. It feels more like a Saturday really, with the amount of games kicking off at 2 o'clock today. But also on our service, Chelsea, Newcastle, Everton, Wolves, Leeds against Norwich and West Ham against Aston Villa. All those games have just kicked off in the last few minutes, and they are all goalless for the time being. The ball now played back towards Ben Foster. Long clearance from up towards the halfway line, headed on by Sissoko, hooked up in the air though by Perrault. Just won't sit down for either side in midfield, and I think the referee is going to stop play here for a head injury to Imran Loza.
Yeah, Laszlo just took a little one in the head there. But like I say, for Watford, the issue for Roy Hodgson's side is everyone around them does have games in hand other than Norwich at the moment. So that does put Watford at a little bit of a disadvantage. They need to start picking up the points soon. It's only one win in Watford now, I believe, in 17 matches. And that was at Aston Villa, of course, a couple of weeks ago. So they really need the points. Southampton, though, 14 points clear the relegation zone. It's going to be another season in the Premier League next campaign for them. Ralph Hasenhüttl, for me, done a very underrated job really at Southampton. Really steadied the ship after. They didn't win a game in their opening 7, which is hard to believe. So full credit to him, and of course now this game really for Watford, it's bigger for them, but I think Southampton, with them having back-to-back defeats, don't want to go on a run to the point where they get into a losing habit to end the season. So I think they'll be eager to respond, and they've certainly started the better out of the two teams, but definitely Watford are the ones who need the points.
They certainly do, but then Hasenhüttl's a manager that always expects a lot from his players. He's one of these very energetic coaches on the touchline. He certainly won't allow his players to go into any kind of holiday mode as Watford finally try and get a little bit of possession in midfield. It's over on the left-hand side now with Kamara. Now Dennis back over towards Kamara on the left-hand side. Southampton trying to press as Lauza now switches play over towards Cucho Hernandez on the right-hand side. He plays it forward to Fernandez. Hernandez goes on the overlap, but that's well stopped by Perrault, and Southampton now looking to play out with Romeu. Over to Ward-Prowse, back now to Mohamed Salisu. Didn't have his best game last time out against Newcastle. It was a disappointing game from Southampton's point of view, really. The commentary of that, I thought that they started the better, but then just allowed Newcastle into the game. And here come the Saints now with a bit of space for Elyounoussi. Goes into the box. He was trying to thread a pass through towards Che Adams. And then an attempted clearance from Watford hits our referee on the back there. So it's going to be a drop ball for the visitors.
Yeah, referee, they're just in the wrong place as Watford tried to play it forward. But again, every time Southampton's come forward, it really is with a purpose. And we know Watford have certainly had their defensive struggles all season, which is why they are where they are in the table. But Roy Hodgson coming in, of course, when he took over Palace a few years ago, they were really struggling. He really steadied the ship. The only issue now is I don't really think Hodgson has that time at Watford. Really took over Palace a lot earlier on in the season. So, they're going to have to defend really well today, Watford. There's no doubt about that. And, of course, just hit Southampton on the break when they had the opportunity.
Well, Watford lose the ball in midfield. Though another chance here now. Will Smallbone going down the right-hand side. Stopped at the edge of the area. Checks his run. And that's a poor ball. He was looking to try and find Walker-Peters, but he could only find Emmanuel Dennis. Walker-Peters as well to win the ball back, though, for Southampton. 6 minutes gone, independent off Tube Studio commentary. Still goalless here at St Mary's, but Southampton on the attack now with Stuart Armstrong. He tries to play that ball through to Elyounoussi. He's unhappy there, Mohamed Elyounoussi. I actually think that Armstrong wanted to play the ball to him, but he just got a deflection. Yeah,
the butterfly deflection through in the end ran through to Ben Foster. But yeah, again, good position by Southampton coming forward 6 minutes in, and they really are going forward to purposes. But of course, as you did say, they did start the game really well in the week against Newcastle, and here come Watford on the attack now, so maybe a first chance for them.
Yeah, Fernandez just stops at the edge of the area, goes back to captain Musa Sissoko. Now it's Kiko Femenia, but cross in. I'm not sure he intended to play that along the ground. The ball's in. There's a player down inside the penalty area. I'm not sure there was too much interest in terms of a penalty appeal, but eventually the ball is cleared. It was João Pedro that got the ball in the box. I'm not sure if he was expecting that one to be played in along the ground. Just see a replay here. Does Bednarek get enough of the ball there? I think he probably does.
Yeah, absolutely. He's got his foot on the ball. I don't think Pedro's any appeals from him or any Watford players anyway. I think it's just a case of he gets there first and Pedro kind of falls over his leg. But no, definitely no penalty there. And I think Bednarek just about did enough. But that's a bit of promise for Watford, though, going forward. And a chance they can get the ball into the area. Southampton, of course, are very much improved throughout the season. But I do still think defensively they certainly have their issues. So Watford will be hoping to exploit that. And they do have Dennis up front, who we know it can be a proven goal scorer at this level.
Yeah, it's been a problem for Arsenal in terms of finding his centre-back pairing. It always seems that Bednarek is ever present, but whether he's playing with Stevens, he's currently playing with Salisu, and Jack Stevens back on the bench. I think he had a bit of an injury problem at one stage, but it's now Romain Perrault trying to clear this one down the left-hand side. I think it might have got a deflection off a Watford player, so it will be a throw to Southampton. Still no goals in the other 2 o'clock kickoffs in the Premier League. There's one at 4:30 kickoff as well this afternoon as Arsenal take on Leicester City. That game also available on our service as Romain Perrault plays a long ball over the top. It's too long, in fact, over the head of Che Adams, and now Foster at the edge of his own area with a long left-footed clearance down the middle. Salisu, well, in the end it wasn't the most confident header, but it gets back to Fraser Forster in the end. Yeah. And it's a pretty steady start from both sides now. Watford getting into the game a little bit more.
Yeah, exactly. I think with Southampton being the home team, you might expect them to start on the front foot, and they are playing against a Watford team that are so low on confidence right now. I believe it's just 2 wins in 20 games for them, really, and that obviously since beating Manchester United 4-1 at Vicarage Road in November. As ball forward here, and Foster does well to come out and claim it. But since that game, they've only won 1, and that was a good win away at Aston Villa. But that's all they've already done, so that's definitely concerning for Watford. But I think it's the way this game started, though. I think as long as they don't concede early and ride that Southampton storm, which they look like to have already done, they can grow into the game because they're the ones who need the points. So the longer the game goes on, I think the more Watford can certainly go forward.
But, and from Watford's point of view, if they were to score first, that doubt could creep into the Southampton the players. As you said, they're not the strongest side defensively. The crowd will get frustrated, and that could play up to Watford as well. But here come the visitors now down the right-hand side. Salisu hooks the ball away, though, taken down by Elyounoussi. Ward-Prowse's pass doesn't get through to Smallbone. It's a bit of a scuffle for it in midfield, but it's Romeo that comes away with it, and then a ball played down the left channel vaguely in the direction of where Che Adams is, but you couldn't say it was a pass to him, and it eventually harmlessly goes out of play for a throw. But so Southampton's next game was due to be in midweek against Burnley, but I think because of the FA Cup they now play Manchester City next Sunday. Big game for Southampton there. Watford, their opposition next week are also in FA Cup action in Everton, so they come back on the 2nd of April with a game away at Liverpool. So ideally they do get some points today.
Yeah, well, Watford-Everton would be a massive game as well, so really I think that's not the best time for it to be delayed. Obviously, when it does get played again, we'll have to see what form both sides are in, but every game right now for every team down there against one another is so big. Obviously, Leeds and Norwich going head-to-head as we speak, but I think these are the sort of games for Watford when you're playing against teams in mid-table, though, who haven't really got much to fight for at this stage of the season, where you can take advantage, but of course winning away at Southampton is no easy task, so we'll have to see how they fare.
Well, yeah, it's one of those games, I think, where Watford don't want to let Southampton to get into too much of a rhythm, but it's all just a case of how confident this Watford side is. We know that Roy Hodgson certainly has been brought in to try and steady the ship as Ben Foster. Not the best clearance from him, but it does reach the halfway line in the end. It's a good bit of skill there from João Pedro to hold the ball up. It goes out towards Emmanuel Dennis down the left-hand side. He tries an early ball into the box. It's a scuff clearance from Salisu. It's a great chance, and the strike is charged down just at the edge of the 6-yard box. João Pedro with a great chance there. Bednarek bailing out his centre-back partner.
Real good chance. Good break forward, actually, across into the middle, as you said, from Dennis. And it's not the best ball, really, but it's a poor clearance by Salisu. He gets there, João Pedro. Good defended by Bednarek. He sees where he's about to put it immediately, and he does really well, the defender. And in the end, Southampton survive. But that's promising for Watford, and now they have a corner.
They have, and they're attacking the end that has their fans in this first half as well. So just that little bit more incentive to take an early lead. And everyone set up inside the penalty area. It's going to be Imran Louser with the cross in. It's a very poor cross. Just to give you an idea, it was cleared by Elyounoussi with his knee at the edge of the 6-yard box, so it's completely underhit.
Really, really poor delivery. Just as Watford get a corner, of course, you think these are the opportunities they can make the most of. It's a really poor delivery. So that's Elyounoussi can just clear it away with his knee, says it all. But here comes Dennis for Watford.
Yeah, Dennis has started on the left. I thought he might have been playing through the middle, but it seems to be João Pedro who's in that number 9 role, and Dennis starting on the left wing. His pass is having to go back, though, towards the halfway line for Hassane Kamara. Square now to Christian Kabasele. One of the longest serving Watford players in the squad these days, now with Kiko Femenia. Back towards Louser. Just a bit more possession now for the Hornets inside the Southampton half, but still unable to really get that ball any closer to the penalty area. This time having to go back towards Samir. Not too much pressing from Southampton, but as I say, Watford just forced to track back a little bit here. And from Southampton's point of view, it's another season where there's been promise at times, but still just lacking that little bit of consistency. Having said that, though, the board obviously had their... I'll come back to that in a second, actually, because there's a ball been given away here by Southampton, and here come a Watford down the left here with Dennis. Gets a ball into the box, which is hooked up in the air by Bednarek. Drops in midfield. Elyounoussi trying to get underneath it. It's headed forward by Kamara. Dennis and Walker-Peters trying to get possession there, and in the end it's Dennis that gives the free kick away. I was going to make the point that Southampton made a few sales and let a few players go in the summer and didn't really replace them with the same quality. You look at players like Bertrand, Vestergaard, and of course Danny Ings as well.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Adam Armstrong obviously came in from Blackburn. He was a goal machine, of course, in the Championship last season, scoring 28 times. Hasn't really worked out from the inner Southampton shirt. I think Southampton made a habit of doing that. They've sold so many players in the last decade or so. They are approaching their 10th season in the Premier League, which will be next season. So, you know, they've done so well really to maintain the Premier League mid-table side. They've never really been in too many relegation battles, from what I recall. So, I think they deserve a lot of credit, really, for the way they've always done that. And this season, again, they've obviously had a great mid-season run. Oh, nearly a poor by Forster.
Well, Forster almost giving the ball away there at the edge of his own box. There's still a bit of a mess here at the edge of the Southampton penalty area, and there's a great chance, and Watford take the lead. It is an absolute calamity from Southampton. Both myself and Sam have made the point that Southampton have been a little bit shaky in defence recently, but we weren't expecting that. After a poor clearance from Fraser Forster, it looked like Southampton might just about get away with it, and they give the ball away again.
Well, looking at Roy Hodgson, you think his team has conceded that goal, but no, awful from Southampton at the back. What are they doing? First of all, Forster, really poor clearance, nearly capitalised on, but I think it was by João Pedro. And then a ball back to him is even worse. It's Bednarek who has it. He goes back to Salisu, and Salisu started this game quite shakily. That's a terrible back pass, and Forster can't commit himself, but, you know, fair play there. It's actually quite a good finish by Hernandez, because it's actually quite a tight angle, but a calamity from Southampton, and Watford will gladly take advantage of it.
They certainly will. It's a massive goal that for Watford when you consider just how big this game game is, and they're just a catalogue of errors here from the Southampton defence. Goalkeeper with a poor pass out, Bednarek with a poor pass to Salisu with an even worse pass back to his own goalkeeper, and in the middle of all of that, Hernandez is able to jump in and capitalise. But it's a real calamity that for a Harsford, who will be absolutely fuming. A big goal at Ellen Road, as well as Rodrigo has given Leeds United the lead inside 15 minutes there as well. So 2 goals early on in the 2 o'clock kickoffs today, with Leeds leading against Norwich, and now Watford with an early lead away at Southampton. It's going to be a free kick in favour of Watford at the edge of their own box. Looks as though Kabasele's taken one to the face there. And we need to see a response here from Southampton, because they've already been on the back foot for the last 5 minutes or so.
Yeah, they started the game really well, and I was really thinking Southampton, if they do score an early goal, it could be a difficult afternoon for Watford. But I mean, obviously Watford did manage to get through that opening 5-10 minutes, and then let's say the 5 minutes that have followed, I think Watford have been the better team. But I think the way they conceded the goal, they'll be so disappointing from a Southampton point of view. It's just such a calamity at the back. I mean, obviously Forster's pass was poor, they got away with that one, but Salisu's even worse, and Watford, they'll certainly take that as an incentive to carry on going forward, because no doubt the Saints' confidence at the back will definitely be knocked after that.
Absolutely. I mean, the goal at Leeds and the goal here at St Mary's pretty much coming almost in the same second. Well, it's certainly a big goal for Watford. It's also a big goal for Leeds, but from Watford's point of view, they'll be hoping the sides just above them outside of relegation will be dropping points, so they'll certainly be hoping that perhaps Norwich can do them a favour in that game. But Southampton lose possession again inside their own half. Dennis is off down the left hand side, finds Kuchka's ball into the box, and Salisu this time with a very telling intervention there, just getting himself in the way. Perot's now been boxed in right at the edge of his own penalty area, just about gets the clearance. It doesn't get too much of distance on it. Sissoko now picks it up here for Watford, plays a quick ball to Cucho Hernandez, who does well, plays a cross in which is overhit, although there may still be a chance here for Dennis. Dennis can't get on the end of it, but Walker-Peters is taking no chances, and it's out for a Watford corner. Yeah,
fair play to Watford. If they can get another goal here, then 2-goal lead early on would be absolutely great. I think this is the thing with Southampton at this point, they just don't seem to have that. I know they've lost back-to-back games, so their confidence may be a little bit knocked, but they just seem to have that, not playing as they were a few weeks ago going forward. I mean, they started the game quite well, but right now they're really on the attack. Watford, and they might well be looking to take advantage and get a second goal early on.
Absolutely, it's there's players stacking up inside the penalty area here, as Southampton famously aren't the best side at defending set pieces, or they do have Bednarek and Salisu for a bit of height. It is Cucho Hernandez standing over this corner kick. Is going to be a right-footed in-swinger from the left-hand side. Again, I'm not sure if this is a theme here from Watford. That's aimed low towards the edge of the 6-yard box. It's cleared back to Hernandez, and he's now looking to try and get a teammate to get this ball into the penalty area. Kuchka's dropped a bit deeper. Hernandez goes on the overlap, and in the end, it's harmlessly away for a goal kick. But that is a real mess there from Watford. It's the second corner kick they've had, which just hasn't got enough height on it.
Yeah, really poor delivery actually, that again, as you say, from a different side this time. There's no distance on it, or no height on it, or anything, and in the end, easily dealt with by Southampton. But no, Watford, they've got to do better than that from set pieces, because they do have a little bit of height in there, Watford, but no, 2 poor deliveries seen from so far, and that will not be pleasing Roy Hodgson at all.
Absolutely not, as Walker-Peters now tries to thread a ball through towards Shea Adams. Adams, though, beaten to it by Samir. Looking quite steady, the Brazilian centre-backs. Had a couple of important interventions already, but the ball now on the halfway line here with Moussa Sissoko. Just looking to try and get a ball, and that's a good ball as well, into the penalty area here for Emmanuel Dennis. João Pedro now looking for an option as well. Ball now played back towards the edge of the box. That was the wrong option, really, trying to play in Imran Louza, and the ball now cleared down the right-hand side. Shea Adams is chasing this, but Kabasele should easily be there first. He plays it back to Ben Foster, whose clearance almost turns out like a good ball over the top there for Hernandez. He feels as though he might have been brought down. Referee Graham Scott does not agree, so it is Southampton now in possession inside their own half here with James Ward-Prowse.
Yeah, I think the way Foster as well, so I want to touch on his kicks have been. He had one early on in the game; it was a little bit shaky, but his kick's been really good so far. Every time he's done a long kick forward, it seems to have caused issues. And Watford all nearly got in again there, but a loose touch in the end from Hernandez, and Bednarek gets it back to the goalkeeper. But yeah, Foster's kicks have also caused Southampton 1 or 2 problems as well, so he's getting some good distance on them at the moment.
Well, I think because every team now plays out from the back, don't they? So if you have got a goalkeeper that can occasionally just ping a really good pass for pick out a player at distance. It's a really good addition to have. Certainly Brentford really missed David Raya when he was injured, not just because he's their best goalkeeper, but because his distribution from set pieces when he catches a cross or catches a free kick is always very helpful to try and help his side go on the attack. As Southampton now trying to get something going down the left hand side. Romeu finds Perrault. He was forced all the way to the corner flag. His cross actually eludes everyone in the box, but it's kept in play by Walker-Peters down the right hand side. He goes back to Ward-Prowse. Ward-Prowse's cross, it's taken down inside the penalty area by Elyounoussi, but then he couldn't quite get a shot or a cross away. Goes back towards Perrault. Perrault then to Salisu. There's a real fight for it on that left hand side, but the Saints do come out with it, and it's now Romeu square to Ward-Prowse towards the edge of the area. Good play there from Armstrong, but he's also well marshalled by Lauser, whose attempted clearance is stopped by Ward-Prowse, but there's still a chance here for Watford down the left hand side. Dennis at full stretch there trying to get on the end of it, but Bednarek beats him to it and goes back towards Fraser Forster.
Yeah, in the end again, Watford coming forward. Whenever they do come forward, Watford, they're certainly having a bit of promise there. Bednarek, you saw, as the last man of Salisu, just dallies on the ball briefly and then gives it away. But I think that the way when Watford come forward, they certainly have the option. And I think the Watford pace may be causing Southampton a few issues as well. But right now, Watford, they can get another goal. They'll be well in control of this game if they're not already.
Well, second goal now for Watford would certainly give them a real command, and Southampton haven't really had any kind of effort on goal since Watford have taken lead. They've had a little bit of possession heading towards the Watford box, but no real work for Ben Foster other than a couple of clearances, and that goal certainly seems to have worked on Watford as comfortable. Just as I say that, though, it's a ball given away by Kamara, and look at this run from Walker-Peters. He gets all the way to the edge of the area before his cross is blocked by the back of Samir. And then Emmanuel Dennis, helping out at the edge of his own box, puts the ball back to Samir, who clears it out for a throw. But that must be a worry for Hasenhüttl as well, that his side haven't really responded since conceding. Yeah,
absolutely not. I think it was good player Walker-Peters, to be fair. He ran forward well, but Samir, good defending by him, got himself in the right place and made the block. But no, I definitely agree with that. I don't think since conceding I really thought Southampton might try and up their game, but no, they've been on the back foot ever since, really. And it's fair to Watford, keeping a good defensive shape, as you would expect a Roy Hodgson side to do, but just not really managing to go forward with much so far, Southampton, and I think that'll be concerning for Hasenhüttl.
Certainly will be. His side are now enjoying just that little bit more possession inside the Watford half, but again, still can't get close to the penalty area. Two banks of four in front of that Watford box, as Ward-Prowse now trying to find Stuart Armstrong. It's interesting that Stuart Armstrong gets the nod up front this afternoon when you've got Long, Redmond, Adam Armstrong and Brozier all on the bench as well. Just goes to show that he's really trying to mix it up here, Hasenhüttl, perhaps giving a couple of his players a rest before that big FA Cup game next week. But here is Shea Adams now with a pass. I'm not even sure what he was trying to do there, but he plays a ball. I mean, to try and describe it, he's 30 yards out from goal. He looks back towards his own half and then just plays a pass, missing everyone, and just gives the ball away for a throw. It's very strange, that, from Shea Adams.
I think that sums up Southampton since conceding. You see Hasenhüttl there sits down in frustration. I mean, Adams, I think, gets the ball. He's looking for an option. He plays it out. He just plays it out of play. It's really, really poor from him, and I think that just sums up Southampton since they've conceded. Really, they've just lost their way, and now Watford have a man down in the middle. But that just sums up Southampton. They need to improve.
They do. It's Hernandez who's hit the deck.
It's Hernandez.
Yes, he's just looks like he's in a little bit of pain. There's a little bit of a collision there as they were fighting for the ball. Referee Graham Scott now stopping play. It's Oriol Romeu who's just sort of jumping side on. I mean, if anything, you could say that Hernandez is more at fault jumping into Romeu there, but he's just come off worse in that.
I think there's no intent at all for Romeu. I don't think Romeu even expects him to go down. I think it's just the landing that's really hurt Hernandez in the end, and hopefully he's okay, but he looks in some discomfort on the floor there. He's really doesn't look good, so hopefully there he is okay. Just having a replay look at the goal on the replay here, and I think it's looks worse the more you see it, really, from a Southampton point of view.
Oh, it does, because they've had two attempts on correcting mistakes they've made, and they've made even more of them as that goal is finally scored by Hernandez. Looking at the bench, by the way, for Watford, it's Trustekong, Sema, Cleverley, Kayembe, Kalou, King, Messina, Cathcart and goalkeeper Bachmann. So they have got options if it turns out that Hernandez would have to go off. I mean, certainly Josh King springs to mind straight away, as indeed Ken Sema. I've mentioned the Watford bench. Southampton bench is Valerie, Stevens, Walcott, Brozier, Redmond, Long, Adam Armstrong, Diallo and goalkeeper Caballero. Hernandez still talking to the referee like he feels that there might have been something wrong with that. I'm not so sure there was anything wrong at all. We've gone past the halfway mark in this first half. 24 minutes gone. It is Southampton 0, Watford 1, and it will be Sam to take us through to half time.
Yeah, thank you very much, Paul. Ralph Hasenhüttl having a little bit of a word with the official on the touchline, but I don't really think there's anything wrong with that at all, really. Of course, it wasn't it was more against his side anyway, not for his side, so don't really see what he has to complain about. Armstrong goes to win the ball. It's won back, though, and now Watford can regain possession. Just as I say that, though, they've immediately given it away. Nice turn, ball forward to Kyle Walker-Peters. He's got a chance maybe to come forward. Plays it into the area. It's out to the right-hand side to Elyounoussi. He then goes to Romeu. Still looking for options. Watford keeping a good defensive shape, though. Ward-Prowse's ball in the end is cut out, though, I believe by Kucka. And now Southampton do have the ball. Ward-Prowse scored 4 goals in his career against Watford, more than any other club. A couple of great free kicks against them in his time, as Bednarek plays down to Salisu just in front of the halfway line. And he spreads it out to Perraud, who goes back to Salisu. Back out wide now. And here is the centre-back who was arguably at fault for, or not even arguably, of course, it was his back pass which did lead to the goal for the visitors. Bednarek back to Salisu. Watford there with everyone back behind the ball at the moment. Ball out to the left-hand side to Perraud. Elyounoussi. Then goes back to Salisu. Out to Perraud. To Romeu. Ward-Prowse. Southampton just were patiently with the ball. First time they've had a good spell of possession for quite a long time in the game, in truth. Salisu, good ball into the field, and nearly through to Adams, but it will fall instead. It's going to be cleared as Elyounoussi who got there, but it was cleared away, and Romeu then goes down. The referee gives nothing. Here's Sissoko, plays out to the right hand side, and here come Watford now on the break, a really promising break as well. The ball is played out to Hernandez, carries on, the ball's played in, it's a chance maybe, it's Pedro with it, João Pedro, can he get it away? In the end he's well challenged by Salisu, and they might be able to clear this. Southampton still has it. João Pedro places Sissoko. Sissoko's cross, it's not the best ball in truth, but it still might be made something of actually by Hernandez. Hernandez can go back to Kamara, and now Kamara still in possession on that left hand side. He goes to go beyond Walker-Peters. In the end Walker-Peters does enough, and surely Southampton can clear their lines with Armstrong in the A. Finds Walker-Peters, and Southampton can breathe again. But a promising break that for Watford, but they didn't make the most of it.
They didn't know. Sissoko's cross was more like a sort of looped ball up in the air, but here comes Southampton now with a chance for Smallbone down the right hand side. Smallbone
back to Ward-Prowse. Chance for them to come forward. Goes back to Smallbone on the right hand side. He crosses in, it's blocked though, and it's out of play for a throw in. In the end, I believe it might have been Loser back there with the block.
Yeah, he's just asking the question there, Loser, about a potential offside. He thought there might have been a delayed decision coming there, but in the end, nothing doing. It's just going to be a throw to Southampton, who do need to see a bit more of the ball now inside the Watford half. As we say, they've seen it. They're starting to look a little bit more confident in terms of possession, having conceded, but still not really tested Ben Foster.
Walker-Peters with a throw, and he gets it straight back from Stuart Armstrong. He still has it as well. Walker-Peters into the penalty area. Good run from him. He's still going all the way, and he very nearly squeezes it in the end. Foster required to make a save. He's allowed to go a long way there, Walker-Peters, by the defence, and well, it nearly turned into a great chance.
Yeah, I mean, it's you think that the angles were all against him. It's not a great attempt from Kucka to stop him, not a great attempt from Kamara either. I think that's why Foster was very quick to get up on his feet and just tell his players that you're right, it's a shot at the near post, which he should be saving, but really the shot shouldn't have been coming across in the first place. It's going to be an outswinger now from James Ward-Prowse.
Yeah, Ward-Prowse delivery usually very much on the money, and here it goes. Not a bad one. It's in the area. It's bouncing around. In the end, Watford can clear away. There was 2 or 3 players who might have got something on that, and the ball forward is going to run just over the halfway line, but out for a throw in. I think this is much better though from Southampton. I mean, Walker-Peters, that one drive forward, that can certainly lift the team, of course, and he was allowed to go a long way, but very positive play by the right back.
Yes, it certainly is. I mean, Walker-Peters is a very good right back. I think that he's proven that over time. Sometimes perhaps maybe his defensive qualities can let him down, but that's just because modern right backs and left backs are pretty much like midfielders, aren't they, in terms of how much distance they're expected to cover and how good they're supposed to be on the ball. So you do sometimes lose a little bit of that defensive quality. But Southampton again just starting to see a little bit more of the ball, and Watford, as is always the way when you're in front and away from them, they're just starting to back off a little bit now.
They are very much keeping a shape, but that will allow Southampton though to come at them, and they certainly have the quality to break them down. That's given away though, just as I say that, and now the ball can be brought away by Kamara, and Kamara goes out to the left hand side, and this will be kept in as well by João Pedro, and Pedro can drive forward. He's going to maybe shoot for goal. He does. It's a curler, but it's never really going close. See why he took the shot on, but it's always going wide.
It's going wide. I mean, he's a talented forward. He's got every right to go for the shot. But when you look at the replay, you see Hernandez and you see Dennis completely unmarked. One inside the D, one over on the right hand side of the box, and Hernandez just stands there with his arms aloft, saying, "All you've got to do is roll it to me, and I've got all the space I need to make it 2-0."
Yeah, of course. Maybe looking back at the replay, it might have been the wrong decision in the end by Pedro. Of course, confidence. Maybe just wanted to go for goal, but it may be in the end the two players in the forward line were better positioned than him, so a bit of a wasted opportunity. Here's Perot on the left-hand side for Southampton, and he goes back to Salisu, who finds Ward-Prowse just inside the D, and he spreads it wide to Walker-Peters on this near right-hand side, and he goes forward. Good ball as well into Armstrong, who takes it in. He's marshalled there by some. A free kick given away in the end. I think that was a little bit soft, maybe.
Yeah, I didn't think the referee was going to give this. It looks to me as though the linesman waving his flag perhaps convinced Graham Scott that this might be a foul. We'll see the replay here. I mean, Armstrong is being held by the arm and then he hits the deck. I mean, a grown man, if you hold him by the arm like that, he's not suddenly going to fall over, is he? So it's Armstrong trying to draw the foul. And I must admit, I'm quite surprised, particularly since the Euros last summer. Referees across the leagues in Europe have just been allowing that bit more physical contact. I'm surprised that's been given, really.
Absolutely, yeah. I think he definitely bought that one for himself there, Armstrong. Samir, not really an awful lot of contact. Had a very good game so far, Samir, in fairness to him. And that one there was a bit of a soft free kick to give away. I don't really think he's at too much for Ward-Prowse. It will be to take it. Not quite a shooting range, but certainly a chance for him to get a dangerous cross in. And the referee seeing something he's not too happy with here. Not too sure what he was complaining about, but here's Ward-Prowse, who is going to have a go at it eventually. Here it comes, into the middle. Good ball. It's headed over the crossbar in the end by Salisu. It was a great delivery by Ward-Prowse, and maybe Salisu just a little bit of a high jump didn't allow him to get the header down.
Yeah, we'll see from the replay here, it's a good delivery, very good delivery from Ward-Prowse. Salisu still on the rise as he's heading there. He needs to be sort of almost heading back down again, putting power into the header, and he's still rising as he heads that one, which means he doesn't have the control, and he sends it over the bar. But you've got to say, that's probably the best chance to Southampton. That and the effort from Walker-Peters are the two best chances Southampton have had in the game, really.
Well, they are growing slowly into it. I think every time Ward-Prowse has a delivery, has a set piece, you just know something's going to happen, really, don't you? Just kind of prepare for...
That's the thing with Ward-Prowse, is that his crosses, his free kicks really have been excellent for Southampton. And mind you, just as I say that, here come Watford at the other end.
Yeah, there's a real good chance now, perhaps. It is with Hernandez. Can he get it out of his feet? He can. It's the ball back there isn't the best, and they actually given away. It's towards Femenia, but Sissoko can retrieve possession for the visitors, and he does well to find Loser in midfield. And then he goes back to the centre-back, Kabasele. Going to be one of the longest-serving Watford players now, Kabasele. He plays a ball forward, not a bad one, but João Pedro won't get there. But he does acknowledge the pass from his teammate, and Fraser Forster quickly off his line. Two former England internationals between the sticks today. 14 appearances combined between Fraser Forster and Ben Foster. Here's Bednarek. His ball to the right-hand side, not quite reaching Armstrong. It is headed away by Kamara. Southampton 14 points clear of the relegation place, so you'd imagine at this stage of the season they're very much safe, but still can't afford to lose too many games. You want to end the season with as much momentum as possible, which is what they didn't do last season, Southampton, following their drubbing at Old Trafford. They had hit a very poor run of form, but...
Yeah, that is sometimes the problem for teams that know that they're going to be safe, but also know they're not going to get into Europe. That sort of on-the-beach mentality can creep in. It shouldn't do, really. You'd think that professional sportsmen are always trying to give their best, but there is always just that little bit of a drop-off in intensity, and that's something that Hasenhüttl doesn't want to see happen two seasons in a row.
So here's Salisu now, finds Bednarek. It's inside the Southampton half, and he goes short to Oriol Romeu. Romeu was going to out to Walker-Peters instead. Keeps possession for now. He's crowded himself out. He's given it away, actually, and now Watford can try and come forward. João Pedro plays it out to the right-hand side to Hernandez, and he goes out to Femenia. Femenia cuts it back and then goes back to Hernandez, the goal scorer. João Pedro then goes back to Loser in midfield, and Sissoko heads it back to Kabasele. Watford happy to keep possession. Romeu just dallying on the ball a moment ago, cheaply giving away possession. And there's a ball forward now. It's going to be cleared away there by Walker-Peters. He's actually lost out in the end, and there's a ball's through. And there's a chance here maybe now for Pedro. Goes to the right-hand side to Dennis. Dennis in the penalty area. He's not got many options. He has to check back instead. Cross comes in, it's not a bad one either, it's a chance on the volley, and it's 2-0! It is Hernandez at the back post, and the flag stays down, and Watford double their lead, and it's a very good volley, it's got to be said.
It's a very good volley, and it's Watford responding to a period of pressure from Southampton. Roy Hodgson once again doesn't look particularly animated. He looks very calm, but that away end just in front of just behind the goal that Watford are attacking in this first half, absolutely delighted the travelling fans who've come from Hertfordshire today, and Hernandez just turning to those fans as well. But again, it's all too easy here. Southampton just giving the ball away midfield. Good work there from Kucka to keep his side in possession. Too much space for João Pedro. Dennis, I must admit, he's won me round as this winger. I've always had him more as a number 9, but he's doing well out wide. Delicious ball in from Juraj Kucka, it has to be said, and it's met by Hernandez. It's not a powerful volley, but it's a very precise one.
Actually, looking back, I think Fraser Forster might well think he could do better. I originally thought that was more in the corner. Good play all round by Kucka, does well to win the ball back originally and then get the cross in.
It's under his body, Forster, isn't it? That's what's going to frustrate him, is the fact that he's always got a chance to get there. But I've got to say, the ball in from Kucka is excellent, and so the finish from Hernandez as well.
Yeah, 2-0 now to Watford. What a lead this is for them, of course, with so many teams around them playing today. Leeds still leading at Norwich, but that's the only other goal in the Premier League up to this point. This is a big lead for Watford, probably playing Southampton at the right time, really. A team who have lost back-to-back games, and as Paul said, might well have that on-the-beach mentality. But this is a massive win. Obviously, they've nowhere near won the game yet. Southampton are more than capable of pulling this back. But it's a big lead for Watford at the moment. I did say a second goal would be massive, and they've got it.
Yeah, they already looked confident, and Southampton already looked a little bit off the pace when Watford went 1-0 up. But now the Watford go 2-0 up, and that's off the back of a good 5-7 minute spell where Southampton actually had a couple of decent chances with the header from Salisu and the effort at the near post from Walker-Peters. So that'll be very frustrating for Hasenhüttl, and again, it should work even more in Watford's favour in terms of their confidence.
Absolutely, it's 2 goals by Hernandez. One of them capitalising on a defensive calamity, and the other one was a very good volley from him. 36 minutes in. Ball now, it's headed away, and it will be further cleared by Kucka, but Ward-Prowse wins it back. Armstrong lets it run. Here's Walker-Peters into the penalty area. Walker-Peters shoots. It's a comfortable save for Foster in the end, but a chance for Southampton as they look to respond. But in the end, it was a good height for Foster, allowed him to turn it behind for a corner. Yeah,
he's always going to be favoured there, Foster, in that kind of a situation. But again, Kucka, we were praising him for his cross, just a little bit poor in terms of getting rid of that ball. Nice little dummy there from Armstrong to leave the ball for Walker-Peters. But again, it's one of those that the goalkeeper should deal with.
Ball comes in now. Salisu gets his head to it, but that's going to be easy again for Foster. Not really a header towards goal, really. That it was more of a header up in the air, and Foster comes out and claims. We've got to say, Walker-Peters, though, has probably been Southampton's biggest threat going forward so far. Popped up again there, and the shot, maybe, it's obviously he's a right back, so you probably don't expect a precise finish, but a good height for Foster. But again, he is causing a few issues to Watford.
I would agree. I think he has looked the most dangerous. We're certainly seeing more of him than we are of Smallbone down the right hand side, who is supposed to be the right midfielder. But Armstrong now with a good run.
Armstrong goes playing Smallbone. It's given away though in the end, and Watford can bring it clear. Ball played forward. Dennis will chase Walker-Peters. Walker-Peters gets there first though, the right back, and he's trying to get it clear. He's not got many options really. He's crowded. He's still got the ball. Dennis doing his best not to touch him in the end. His clearance comes off Dennis, and that just goes to Bednarek, and he plays it out to Perot on the left hand side, and he tries to get something moving for Southampton. Ball forward. It's a poor ball though, and again Watford can regain possession. Sissoko flicks it on, and Sissoko gets it back again after the ricochet, and he goes to play it beyond Elyounoussi, and is that going to be a handball? Here's a handball, and Watford now win a frigate. Watford are just first to everything at the moment. They just want to win it back, and that's just what they keep doing.
Yeah, there's an intensity about Watford that has, first few minutes of the game, you sort of feared for Watford a bit, because Southampton certainly seemed to be very comfortable, and Watford started to sit deeper and deeper. But now you've got to say that it's Southampton that are just looking a little bit devoid of confidence, and the visitors just seem to be picking off every loose ball, and it's almost like they're drawing mistakes from Southampton.
Absolutely, Southampton say on the beach mentality. It's only mid-March, you don't really expect that to creep in at this moment in time, but the way Southampton have played so far has really been unlike them. I know they are on back-to-back defeats as we've mentioned, but just been unlike the way they've played really so far in this second half of the season. Here is Salisu in possession for them now, and he finds Jan Bednarek. Did score an own goal against Watford actually just after lockdown a couple of years ago. It was a 3-1 win for Southampton, so it mattered little, but that was a 3-1 win at Vicarage Road. And just a fascinating stat about this fixture, it is the fixture that has the quickest ever Premier League goal scored. Shane Long, actually I'll go back to that because Watford win it back again, and Pedro plays it over the top, and it's a chance now. It's in the end Hernandez just hesitates on it a little bit. And he goes to Kuchka. In the end, they lose possession. But again, Southampton, poor defensive error. And if Watford were a little bit quicker there on the attack, they might be in.
Yeah, I mean, if the Southampton defend like that against the sides from the top six, they'll concede a multitude of goals. And as I say, they have been conceding a few in the last few games, losing 4-0 and 2-1 before this afternoon's game. But again, it's just a little bit too easy here from Watford. It's almost like just their presence in the Southampton half seems to be enough just to draw these mistakes from the home side.
Absolutely. Walker-Peters now, though, positive play once again from him. He has been a shining light for the Saints so far. He plays it out to Armstrong. Armstrong's cross is going to be blocked, though, by Samir, and he will then keep it alive. He's prevented a corner. It will be a throw. I think Samir's had an exceptional game at the back so far for Watford. He's got to everything.
Yeah, he's been good. We've seen him a lot more than we've seen Kabasele. That's not to criticise Kabasele, but it's just Southampton attacking more down there, right, which is Samir's the more left-sided centre-back, so he's just having a bit more of the action, and he's coped with it very well.
Walker-Peters is throw into Che Adams. Very quiet so far. The forward is ball in, blocked by Kabasele, and then it's played out of play by his fellow centre-back partner Samir, and that will be a throw in to Southampton.
Yeah, Salisu coming across, so it looks like he was going to try and launch this one long into the penalty area. Not really surprised. Southampton have got to try and do something else just to liven up their attack.
Yes, Salisu it's going to be to throw it in. It's going to be a long one towards the area. It's got some distance on it. It's going to be headed away, though, by Kabasele, and then Dennis doing his defensive duties well, tracking back on the left-hand side, and he's eventually going to clear upfield. It only finds Romeu, though, and he then takes it down. It's Walker-Peters. Plays it back to Bednarek, who's looking for options. He has to go out to the left-hand side. And Perot then finds Elyounoussi. Been quite quiet so far, the left winger. Armstrong. I think Hasenhüttl might look to make a change. I mean, we mentioned Armstrong starting up front was a bit of a controversial one. It's not really worked out so far. Dennis plays it forward. Nice flick by Pedro, and here comes Sissoko. And Sissoko then plays against Kuchka. Kuchka's one-on-one with the keeper. Kuchka's in. It's saved by Forster. And in the end, they can clear away Southampton. But wow, another good opportunity. So easy for Watford. I think Kuchka probably not the man you want in that position.
Well, no, but I mean, saying that he's a midfielder, he should still, from that position, really put the game to bed, let alone put the goal to bed. I mean, this was a great chance. Again, Southampton all at sea defensively. And Kuchka, I always have him more down as a left-footer, really. It was a left-footed cross that found Hernandez for the second goal. But here, runs into the box and just sort of tries to flick it past Forster with his right. And it never really looked convincing at all. And he's having a little word with himself as well now.
I don't think that first touch really helps him looking back. The first touch takes it too close to the keeper. Forster allows himself to look big. And then in the end, once he goes to finish it, he's got Forster, obviously big man Forster. He tries to slot it past him, and in the end, it's too much of Forster's frame in the way, and he makes the save, but never looked convincing there, Kuchka. It's a very poor finish from him, and I mean, that's 3-0 there, and you can probably say it's already game over at this point, but it still remains 2-0, but Watford still firmly in control, but that could be a chance they come back to rue later on in the game.
If Southampton were to get a goal back, we've only got 3.5 minutes plus injury time before half-time, but if Southampton were to score now, then straight away that doubt is going to creep into Watford. They're going to be thinking about that Kuchka chance. Just to tell you as well, there's still been no goals elsewhere, so it's still goalless between Chelsea, Newcastle, Everton, Wolves, West Ham, Aston Villa, and it's still Leeds 1 and Norwich City 0, and obviously 2-0 to Watford in our game, so it's a pretty low scoring Sunday so far.
So far it is, but Watford are the team who've got 2/3 of the goals, and of course they'll gratefully take that. Of course other teams do have games in hand around them, but points on the board are exactly what you need, and Watford definitely need them right now. But they've just conceded a free kick, and it will be James Ward-Prowse with his usual trademark, and to be an outswinger from this near right hand side. We know Ward-Prowse very much capable, as I've already mentioned, delivering a great delivery, and he's already had one or two that have made it there. And here it goes, good ball in. It's going to be headed away though, and the ball falls on the edge of the area. The volley comes in. It's a looping one. It's just over the crossbar in the end, and the volley actually looked like it come in. I believe it was by
Perot, I think, who had the effort in the end. He had a left-footed strike, sort of tried to place it rather than put power. And I initially thought it might have even got a slight deflection, but it's just the way he sort of flicked it with the top of his boot, just off the roof of the net. Not a bad effort, really. Tried to do something, of course, because Southampton really haven't had too many shots away to test Ben Foster in this first half.
Yeah, never quite testing him. Perot did open his Southampton account recently in that FA Cup victory over West Ham United, the left-back, so maybe confidence a little bit up. That game was very recently, only around about 10-11 days ago, so the shot though never really troubling Ben Foster, who's had a pretty quiet first half. The England goalkeeper, which will be former England goalkeeper, which will very much please him. Throwing forward now, Southampton can head away with Bednarek, and then it's headed back forward, but Bednarek again flicks it away and Smallbone flicks on, but Kabasele can go back to Ben Foster, who can clear up field. Again, getting quiet.
If you're Hasenhüttl at half-time, do you make a change either in formation or in personnel, or do you just try and get the players who are there now to try and just be a little bit more organised in defence and a little bit more concrete in attack?
I think the obvious change is Armando Broja. I think he's the man who can cause Watford some issues. He's a man who's obviously had a very, very good season. I think he's the obvious change for Southampton.
And Stuart Armstrong and Shea Adams hasn't worked as a strike partnership. I don't think they've just not seen enough of the ball between them, but Romeo does well, and now potentially a chance for Southampton.
Yeah, Romeo comes forward. Watford with some numbers back. Romeo onto Armstrong's a little bit behind him the pass though. That forces Armstrong out of the penalty area. Still has it on the right hand side. Goes to Ward-Prowse. Armstrong gets it back in the end. Is he fouled by Samir? He is fouled by Samir, and a little bit cheap you can say, but yeah, it's Dennis, my apologies, who fouls him actually. Dennis getting back there, worked tirelessly in this first half, Dennis, but a little bit there. We'll have a look at the replay. Actually, no, it is the correct position.
That is your classic centre-forwards challenge, that, isn't it? Just like a centre-back shooting from 30 yards, and it always goes 20 yards over a centre-forward or indeed a forward trying to do a tackle in that defensive position. And this is dangerous for Watford because they've got left-footed Perot Southampton and right-footed Ward-Prowse.
Ward-Prowse flick on, it's actually going to be a goal. It's flicked in by Elyounoussi. It was flicked on by Che Adams originally. Elyounoussi comes in at the far post and flicks it in. He's been a quiet game so far, but now he has scored, and you mentioned about that Kucka chance, ruined the missed opportunity. Southampton have got a goal before half-time, and that could be a huge momentum shift.
It certainly could be, because Southampton haven't looked like scoring in this first half. Watford very close to making it 3-0. Well, then they give away a free kick 30 yards out. The ball is whipped in, and you've got to say that the Watford defence, it's their turn to be disorganised this time, because it's a good ball flicked on by Adams. In fairness, that does pretty much exclude all the defenders then once Adams does that. But it's good play from Elyounoussi to get on the end of it.
It's not the most convincing finish, but he just gets enough on it, you can say, to turn it past the goalkeeper. I think Adams' flick takes everyone out of the game, as you say, really. It's that flick on into a dangerous area, and Southampton have a goal back right on half-time, and we know that is something that can really change a game in Watford. I think the half-time team might be a little bit different from Roy Hodgson now. With ball forward as well. Actually, Adams could be in here. Ball forward by Walker. It's Adams into the area. He's got a man over on the right. It's played in. It's a good clearance in the end, and he could have turned that into his own net. It was actually by Cucho Hernandez, but again, soon as Southampton score one, they're on the search for another.
Well, if without Femenía, we could be talking about a 2-2 draw now. We're into 2 minutes of injury time as well. It's a good ball in from Adams. Maybe could have tried to just put a little bit of elevation on that to find Elyounoussi, but it looks as though Femenía might have just strained something here as he's tried to make that clearance. He's still down on the ground.
Yeah, definitely. I think he just might have just hurt himself doing that. It was a very, very important clearance though by the Watford right back, but it's actually Watford who are really caught cold there. I mean, the last thing you want to do, of course, when you've just conceded before our time, is commit men forward, but that ball from Walker Peters was so easy to play through to Adams, and he nearly got in. It's going to be a delivery though by Ward-Prowse. It's a deep one. It's Bednarek who nearly gets his head to it. It does fall to Armstrong. That's a really poor effort though, and that's wide, and that kind of sums up Stuart Armstrong's first half, to be honest.
Yeah, and it may well be that now with Southampton getting that goal before half-time, perhaps Ralph Hasenhüttl will think this is time to grab the bull by the horns and potentially make that change with, it's almost like a raffle with the forward options he's got. He's got Long, Redmond, Broja, Walcott's back after injury, Adam Armstrong as well. So it's a very slanted attacking bench there really for Southampton. So Hasenhüttl can certainly consider that. Half-times are coming in across the board, and you'd expect that once Foster clears this one, it should be half-time as well.
It might well be Foster with that clearance forward, and the referee has blown the half-time whistle, and it is Watford who lead by 2-1, but Southampton pulling one back before half-time. A double from Hernandez in the 14th and 34th minute, but Elyounoussi pulling one back on the stroke of half-time means it will be a very interesting second half ahead. Half-time score, Southampton 1, Watford 2.